Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Scar. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Well, good morning again. I am delighted to be here as Tillamook County's current Board of Commissioners Chair. I will look forward to chairing these radio calls over the coming year. We will start with our welcome and our Board of Commissioners roll call, and I'd like to start by congratulating and welcoming our newest commissioner, Commissioner Fournier.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioner Scar.
Good morning. And yes.
No, nothing. I was just going to say it's my second day on the job. I don't have much to report, but I would like to mention that myself and fellow elected officials got sworn in yesterday at the courthouse. This included myself, Sheriff Joshua Brown, our new assessor Cassandra Larson, County Clerk Christy Neiseth, Justice Court Judge Ryan Cannell, and of course yourself, Commissioner Aaron Scar. It was a great turnout. I've never seen that many people show up for a swearing-in ceremony. So I want to thank all the family and friends that attended the ceremony with Judge Hill. Running for public office is not easy, and if it was, everybody would do it. It would be impossible without the support of family and friends. So it was nice to see so many of them out there. I want to thank my partner, Michelle, and her daughter, McKenna, because I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for them. And I also wanted to thank, there's a lot of county employees, and I want to thank them for showing up and showing their support. We had several members of both of our labor unions, and that was nice to see. We had a large contingent from AFSCME. We're going to be beginning bargaining with them, and to have them there, I think, shows the tone that we can look forward to having this year for bargaining. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's one of my goals to make Tillamook County one of the best places to work, and I think having them show up and be supportive of us was fantastic. I'm looking forward to working with yourself and Commissioner Bell this year to get the county back on good financial footing and set us up for a really good, prosperous future. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Yes, the swearing in yesterday was fantastic. We're not sure the last time we had that many elected officials sworn in at one time. So as you pointed out, a great group of family, friends, and employees in support of that. So thank you for that. Commissioner Bell, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, we will jump into our regular agenda with Adventist Health Tillamook, Eric Swanson.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
15 patients in the hospital today, plus one brand new baby. 5 surgery cases scheduled. Ambulance crews did 7 911 transports yesterday. 4 transfers, no transports home. One of the things that we're keeping a close eye on right now is what's happening with Providence hospitals. They have a strike looming, which will impact all hospitals, let's say all rural hospitals that transfer patients into the Portland metro area. It'll make it much more difficult to get beds. So we are working with our partners on how do we make sure that patients who require that higher level of care promptly get a bed. But it's not ideal when we already have a bed shortage problem trying to get patients transferred into Portland. So we continue to keep an eye on that. We have, you're probably wondering when dialysis is going to be opening, and I'm wondering the same thing. I sent an email to them yesterday. The Oregon Health Authority is still continuing to do whatever the Oregon Health Authority does when it comes to licensing a dialysis center. And they were hoping to get some resolution on a couple of the outstanding items yesterday, but I haven't gotten an email this morning about where they're at. But I know they've engaged Senator Wyden's office, and Senator Wyden sent a letter or an email to OHA asking it to be expedited. So we're just kind of wait and see when OHA gets that done. There are 103 patients in boarding and emergency departments across Oregon this morning. That's 31 less than yesterday. 314 beds occupied by patients who should be discharged, but there's nowhere to go, and that's 10 more than yesterday. So unless you've got questions, I'll go back on mute.
Oh, no, thank you, Eric. That was fabulous. Anyone have a burning question for Eric this morning? Okay, not hearing any. Thank you so much for your update. We'll all keep our eyes on that strike. We know that we have an integrated system in Oregon that requires all of our medical facilities to be functioning top notch for us to all have the care we need. So we'll keep our eye out for that. Thank you for the heads up.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the Coastal Caucus. I know that I have Senator Weber this morning. Would you like to kick us off?
Sure, just as soon as I find the mute button or the unmute button.
There you go.
Good morning. What a fabulous sunrise we had this morning. The colors in the sky were just amazing, and it started and it stayed for so long. So I'm hoping that that's a sign that God loves us and he's going to send us more sunshine, but I know that's not true. I know he loves us, but I don't think the sunshine is going to be here for very long. So, good morning, and I want to congratulate all of you who are assuming new and continued roles in our county government and our city governments. Thank you for stepping up and running. Thank you for taking on the challenges that we have in our communities and our county. It is admirable. The fact that we had so many people being sworn in yesterday and the people that came to support them, it is truly a gift to us all. And I think it is also a reminder that we all have that ability to be able to step up and serve our communities. Last night, I also went to the Tillamook City Council meeting, and I got to see the new counselors sworn in, and I appreciate their service also. But there was one other item that was on the agenda last night, and that was a recognition of Joe Steiger. And he received a life-saving award from the police department back in, I think it was November, at Fred Meyer's. There was an incident where a gentleman went down, and Joe was there to grab the AED and to yell for someone to call for an ambulance and basically saved a man's life. And so we have those heroes among us, the heroes that run for office, the heroes that serve our communities, and those everyday heroes that are there to watch over us when we have other emergencies that need tended to. So thank you, Joe. It was very nice to be able to be present while you were, and your family, of course, was there too, were recognized for your heroism. So going on, I'm gearing up for the session to start. If it's any indication, we still don't have our parking assignments, but we're getting a lot of other marching orders. And we do have the agenda for the 13th, and that will also be the swearing in of both House and Senate members. And it will also be the day of the governor's State of the State address. And so it is a full day and our first session. Speaking of that, I received my regular session LC docket with my bills being recognized as Senate bills rather than just concepts. And so I have 19 bills currently that I am proposing for consideration. And of course, we will see what happens if they are allowed to go forward. They are mainly bills that are area centric. And so economic development, education, taxation, transportation, those sorts of things that we're all very interested in. So anyway, I also wanted to alert you to something else, that our district is being looked at on a worldwide basis. There is a Business Oregon Symbiosis is bringing a group from Denmark to Boardman, Astoria, and Warrenton to look at our food and beverage manufacturing with the hopes of expanding that. And so that's on the 16th. There will be a group in the area looking at our food and beverage production. Other than that, I think I've got a full schedule of meetings with both lobbyists who are, of course, advocating for the bills that others are proposing. And I will be in Salem for meetings Wednesday night and Thursday and Friday. So I'm looking forward to a busy rest of the week. And I also wanted to say, we have a new interim city manager in Tillamook, and I think his first day was probably yesterday. And I don't have his name right on the tip of my tongue, but I want to welcome him to Tillamook and hope that we all extend that welcome to him for the time that he is here, and invite him to, of course, add to this morning report. So with that, I'm going to go back to my other work and tell you all to have a wonderful day. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Senator. Any questions for the senator? Okay.
And Commissioner
Yes.
Scar, we need to schedule a time to talk also.
We do. We've been playing tag, but now the holidays are over and we're back. So I will
Yeah.
shoot Katie another email and restart our little tag of how about this day, how about that day.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, moving right along, I see that we have Representative Javity with us, I believe.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to hear everyone back on the call. Sorry if I wasn't sure if we had one last week because of the holiday, but apologize if I missed that. But Happy New Year, and congratulations to everyone who was sworn in yesterday locally, and good luck on your new assignments or your continued assignments, and looking forward to working with each of you. We heard from Eric about the strike that's going to affect Providence. This is probably the biggest strike in history in Oregon as far as healthcare goes, and I missed it if he had said that, but just to echo what he said, and this will involve nurses and doctors, and so this starts the 10th, which is in 3 days. It will impact, obviously, have a huge impact on healthcare throughout the state, including our district. So we'll be monitoring that. The latest update I got was a couple of days ago from Providence Hospital, and there's no signs of progress yet that would lead to us knowing when that strike might end. So we'll keep everybody updated and to get that hopefully resolved as speedily as we can. Met last week with former Senator Betsy Johnson, as well as the rest of the Coastal Caucus, to talk about the FEMA BIOP in greater detail. And while there still is no meaningful change in how that will be enforced or applied from the federal level, as far as the state's concerned, we're looking at what we can do to make sure that we're not making it even more difficult at the state level for local jurisdictions like the counties and the cities to try to navigate all the impact that will have on issuing permits and all of our local community members that are affected by this. It's a big deal, and it's not something that will fall to the bottom of the pile, or so it's going to keep this up on the top and continue to put pressure on our federal delegation and wait to see if the new administration makes any changes there as well. And then, of course, there's the lawsuit that's going forward that involves communities from throughout Oregon where they're going to sue in federal court FEMA to get them to stop, saying that they don't have authority. And I know we've kind of covered this in detail before, but so there's nothing really new here, but that does continue to move forward. And so the state, Senator Weber was part of that call. And the rest of the Coastal Caucus is paying attention to that. Interestingly, though, from that call, there were quite a few of our legislators that just were unaware right now of the FEMA buyout in its full impact. And so it was good to bring them on board, and we'll continue to push for that effort in action. Session starts the 19th, which is, we got swimming, like Senator Weber mentioned, next week. So we'll be back to work starting next week in Salem for most of the week with meetings, and then committee meetings start on the 19th. I've been reassigned to healthcare, housing, and then I have a new committee this year. It will be early childhood and human services. So looking forward to learning an additional part of the state of Oregon's impact in those areas, specifically hoping to be able to weigh in on our childcare and the daycare efforts, especially throughout the county, Tillamook and Clatsop County, where we got a childcare desert. And then bills I'm working on for the upcoming session. We've got some insurance reform bills. We're going to try to make it so insurance companies have to expand their networks in a meaningful way into all parts of the state, so that we don't have to travel to find in-network care. Of course, we have transportation, which we've talked about before, and the impact that might have on things like the gas tax, as well as road quality for like Highway 6, Highway 30, Highway 101. The Habitat Conservation Plan. We'll have a bill that we're working on that I expect will have support as it works its way through the House and the Senate to make sure that the Oregon Department of Forestry is operating transparently and that we can hold them accountable for those harvest levels that we rely on for our budgets and jobs here in the district. And then just a little highlight of some other ones I'm working on. I've mentioned before free school lunches throughout the state for our K through 12, regardless of income level, that everybody should be well fed or have access to food, at least at school, so they can focus on learning. Working on a nonprofit license for childcare that would help institutions like our YMCA be able to offer that with a different pathway, with different regulations. That's an easier get for childcare. I've got a transient lodging tax bill. We're looking at just see if we can reallocate some of those funds differently within the states so that we can fund some important infrastructure. Looking to expand cell phone towers throughout our district to get better reception. And another one that I'm excited about are the prescription drug bill that we're going to use, hopefully be able to reduce prices on lots of the important medications. Last time, the session, we were successful at getting drugs like insulin at held at a reasonable price at $30 a month, no more. And so we're going to look at some other medications and hopefully be able to apply that same type of framework to some of those drugs so that our citizens don't have to continue to face ever increasing prices on their medications. And then 3 other bills that put out there on everybody's radar. We've got one, and I've talked about it before, on farm worker housing. That one doesn't have a date yet, but I've got lots of support, bipartisan support, to make sure that our farmers who have employees living in homes that are within 500 feet of livestock operations have been, there for time immemorial, as well as new structures that are being built. A year to 2 will be able to continue to be housing without restriction. And then looking at a bill that would give minors in bad situations in their home. Maybe they have an abusive parent. Maybe they've got some other situation going on. The ability to terminate those parenting rights, and another one on defensive driving. It will now hopefully make it standard throughout Oregon on your first tickets for a minor driving offense, like a speeding ticket or a handful of others, be able to take a defensive driving course instead of having to pay that first ticket and then and not have it go on your record if you complete it successfully. So lots of moving pieces right now. It's kind of exciting early in the session, and looking forward to seeing what we can get done in the upcoming months.
Thank you, Representative. That's a great list of bills. We'll all watch those with you. Is there any questions for the representative this morning? Okay, not hearing any. We'll let you get back to the work at the state level. And again, we look forward to engaging with you during this session. All right, we will move on to the thank you to the Tillamook County Community Health Centers. Ed Colson.
And good morning there, commissioners, and good morning, Tillamook County. It's Ed with the Health Department here. So January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Now, cervical cancer is a disease when cells in the cervix grow out of control. Anyone with the cervix is at risk, and it most often occurs in people over age 30. Long-lasting infection with certain types of the HPV virus is the main cause of cervical cancer. HPV is a common virus that is passed from one person to another during intercourse. At least half of sexually active people will have HPV at some point in their lives, but few will get cervical cancer. Screening tests and the HPV vaccine can help prevent cervical cancer. When cervical cancer is found early, it is highly treatable and associated with long survival and a good quality of life. Early on, cervical cancer may not cause signs and symptoms. Advanced cervical cancer may cause bleeding or discharge that is not normal for you. The HPV test and the Pap test can help prevent cervical cancer or find it early. You should start getting Pap tests at age 21, and if you're 30 years old or older, talk to your doctor about testing options. More information about symptoms, screening, and recommendations can be found at cdc.gov/cervical-cancer. Well, we want to remind everyone that Dr. Itzel Romero is accepting new Medicaid and uninsured patients at the Tillamook County Community Health Dental Office on 805 Ivy Street in Tillamook. Dr. Romero is bilingual in Spanish and English and has spent the last 10 years serving patients in underserved communities as a dental volunteer, dental assistant, and now a licensed dentist. Patients can call 503-842-2356 to make an appointment with Dr. Romero. And lastly, just as a reminder, Tillamook County Community Clinics and Public Health will be closed on Monday, January 20th, in recognition of Martin Luther King Day. That is our update for our health department, and I'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Any questions for Ed? Okay, not hearing any. We will move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
We have 3 announcements this morning. The first announcement is about the Homeless Connect events later this month. Our outreach team will attend the Project Homeless Connect events, helping people with resources, and these people are unhoused or at risk for being homeless. First is January 28th in Clatsop County, the Seaside Convention Center, and then January 29th, the Tillamook County event at the Tillamook County Fairgrounds. Also, we have some job openings. If you or someone you know enjoys helping people and is looking for employment, please have them check the job openings on our website, nehalembayhealth.org. And finally, our construction update. The first floor wall framing is complete for the south half of the building, and the lower section of the roof has been framed. So this week, crews are working on framing the north half of the building. And that's it for me this morning.
Excellent. Thank you. That's exciting about the health center and pharmacy construction. I love driving by to see what's happening.
Most definitely. Thank you.
You betcha. Have a great day. Okay. The next I have on Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Frank Hannah Williams is not able to be with us this morning, so we will jump right on to the sheriff, Sheriff Brown.
Good morning, Commissioner. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
So I got some totals and some numbers for December, which is kind of the trend of what my monthly report's going to be. So I'll kind of go over those, share them with the group. For the month of December 2024, our total number of calls that we handled was 1,323. Now you compare that to last year, 2023, and we had 1,359. So we're almost identical. Last year had maybe 30 more calls, 36 more calls for service over the course of a month. For 24, we handled 5 assault calls. Burglary, theft, and criminal mischief combined, those are categorized as property crimes. We handled 49 of those. We had 65 CAMI calls, and as a reminder, CAMI has to do with child abuse or child neglect type calls. 65 is an astounding number, something that we really, really don't like to see. That's almost 2 a day on average. Last year, comparatively, we had 43 of those calls, so we're up considerably this year. Unsure why that is actually the case, but those are not the kind of calls we like to see, obviously. Missing persons, search and rescues, we only had 3 for the month of December, which is good considering it's the tail end of hunting season. Motor vehicle accidents or recreational accidents, we actually had a very, very large number this year, 51 in the month of December. Comparing that to last year, we only had 16. So we've seen a huge spike in crashes this year. Again, I'm unsure as to why that would be the case. We had 19 arrests for the month of December. 2023, we had 23 arrests, so we're slightly down from that. We had 157 traffic stops, and as I've mentioned before, traffic stops are self-initiated activity. They're preventative. Proactive police work is what we call them. We believe that traffic stops help gain compliance as well as help reduce crashes. Comparing that to last year, we had 189 traffic stops, so we are down from that, which is probably reflective of the number of different type of calls that did increase. We were slightly busier with those calls. We had 75 business checks, which again is another proactive policing strategy. That is up from last year where we only had 65 of those in the month of December 2023. On the arrests, we had 4 DUIs in the month of December, account for some of those arrests. 9 of the arrests that we had were for warrants. We had 3 that were for recklessly endangering, and most of the rest were just single arrests, such as harassment. We had 1 harassment arrest. We did have 4 arrests that were for property-related crimes, UUMV, burglary, those type of calls as well. So that's kind of the summary for the calls that we had. Is like I've also said before, it's just a small snapshot at some of the call types, as well as our overall call volume that we had for that particular month. Moving on, I'd like to mention to everybody that we had a new corrections deputy start about 5 days ago, beginning of January. We're excited to have him on board, and we'll be swearing him in very soon, and wish him luck as he begins his career as a corrections deputy. We also had a retirement 4 days ago, I believe, is when her last day was. Deputy Yvonne Burdick Garcia. She's been with us since 2004. She's worked in every division, excelled in every division, and it's finally her time to be able to enjoy the next stage. And we want to definitely congratulate her on a well-earned retirement and a very, very long and fruitful career. And we wish her the best of luck. And then the last thing is we do have openings. So if you know anybody that is interested in our profession or interested in working for us, please point them in the right direction. I believe the job opening is on the county website. We are also an open book. So if you wish to ask questions, please reach out to us. And we'll try to answer any questions that we can. With that, that's my report, and I can take any questions.
Thank you, Sheriff. And you shared in our staff meeting yesterday about some special recognitions for some members of your team. Would you like to share those as well? I think that just speaks highly of the work that your team does.
Actually, yes, that's I appreciate the prompt on that. I kind of glazed right over it. So, the Oregon State Sheriff's Association holds an annual conference at the beginning of December every year. It's the big one for all sheriffs across the state of Oregon. And the final event of the conference is an awards ceremony banquet. And we had some people from our office get awards. We had Deputy Terrence Waters, as well as Oregon State Police Trooper Tom Main, both received awards for distinguished service for an incident in Rockaway. And we had Deputy Sean Ehlers also receive a Distinguished Service Award for a separate incident in Rockaway Beach. We had Deputy Paul Fournier, who is now Commissioner Paul Fournier, receive a Meritorious Service Award for his years of public service and what he has done for the Sheriff's Office engagement and communication with the public through our social media as a PIO. So all of those deputies, as well as the trooper, won awards for things that have occurred in Tillamook County, and we are very, very proud of them. We're going to be getting a post out pretty soon to be able to share that information. We're very excited for them.
Excellent, thank you. And we share our congratulations out of the Commissioner's office as well. We appreciate the hard work they do, and it's really exciting when our folks get recognized at a state level. So give them our congratulations.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to emergency management. Randy Thorpe.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I'm sure most of you have heard about the highly pathogenic avian influenza, which is basically the bird flu. That's just a fancy name for it. And I just want to talk a little bit about it because I attended a webinar yesterday that was hosted by our Oregon Department of Agriculture, and they gave us some interesting information, I thought anyway. And as you all know, the bird flu affects the wild and domestic poultry, your chickens, turkeys, quails, and on and on. But it was interesting to say, they said in Oregon, there has been 45 poultry outbreaks and 0 cow outbreaks, dairy cow outbreaks, and 1 human case. And looking at the statistics, nationwide, I thought, man, we have just a very small percentage. So I'm very thankful that it hasn't become a main issue here. But they also kind of stressed that there's not a high risk to the general population, and there is no person-to-person transmission. It's got to be bird-to-person type of thing. So anyway, again, if you do have poultry and you start seeing some odd behavior, some diarrhea, weakness, lethargy, sudden death, that I would suggest you contact the Oregon Department of Agriculture, and they can do some testing and give you some solutions. And then the question came up with is, what happens if we eat eggs that are from a chicken that's sick? And the answer was, cook it to a minimum of 140 degrees and it's safe to eat, and just don't consume it raw, which is basically the same thing they tell you about salmonella and all the other issues out there. So forget those Rocky eggs in the morning. Wasn't he the one that drank the pitcher full of eggs every morning in boxing? But anyway, don't do that. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, if I hate to bring up this memory relive, but it was a year ago this weekend that we had that nice ice storm that hit us. It did so much damage. And it was really nice to see that our prediction for weather this weekend is just going to be some light showers and highs in the 50s and lows in the mid 30s. So I'm sure glad it's this year, not last year. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that those great king tides are coming back this weekend. They're due to start on the 11th, which is Saturday, and go through the 13th. And so just, again, be extremely careful and cautious if you're going to go to the shores to do some photography work or just to observe. Just respect the ocean, basically, and And there's no reason not to go, but just be extremely careful and choose those areas that you want to observe from and make sure that they're a good, safe distance away from where any of the high tides could affect you. So with that, enjoy this better weather this year than last year, and I'll turn it back to Commissioner Stark.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that. So let's hope that this beautiful weather hangs on for quite some time. So we're counting on
Yes.
you, Randy. Make that happen.
Yes, I wanted to hang on until, maybe April. That would be
All
great.
right. All right, we'll hold you to that. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on. This is our opportunity each month where we get to have Bill Jablonski from ODOT join us. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Commissioner Scar, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Well, thanks for that introduction, and always a pleasure to call in every month to Tillamook County. What could be better than the wintertime in Tillamook County having some road issues? So we have some ongoing maintenance sites that we're actively, monitoring and pursuing some action on. Of course, the big one for us is right now Oregon 131. We're down to a single lane there, and sometimes we have full closures just based on the activity. We have the contractor coming out this week to evaluate the site and put together a plan for us. We know it's going to be about 2 months of a combination of signal, a flagger, and maybe some full closures. And thanks to Tillamook County for the use of the Cape Mears Road as well too when we need to have those full closures. We have a repair that was done a couple years ago that failed. So we're putting the repair back in place with that manufacturer and nailing it back in place a little stronger so we can hold it in there with some drainage improvements as well too. We also have some sloughing of some shoulders on Oregon 130 that we're monitoring and putting together a plan for work again this summer. We're continuing to monitor the slide activities on Oregon 6 between mile point 33 and 35. That's, a 24/7 monitoring activity of that area. We'll just continue to monitor and see if we need to take any action as far as any kind of lanes restrictions or movement of any kind of lanes, to accommodate 2 lanes still open. We did take some calls recently about some cameras on Oregon 6. Of course, we all know that the cell coverage at the summit on Oregon 6 is pretty dire or non-existent. As fiber optic and cell towers come online or is available to ODOT, we're able to enter into agreements and contracts and set up networks and systems that we'll be able to install those. Of course, with our budget situation that we have many more sites than we have money to maintain. But as that program opens up again, hopefully after this next legislative session, we'll have a little more direction from the legislature as far as funding goes for programs like that. Some projects around the area, like I'm happy to report, under construction. On Oregon 6, we have the roadside barrier project. That's the complete barrier rehab and replacement from Tillamook City down to Banks on Oregon 6. That's going to be starting here this spring, early summer. That'll be ongoing for a number of months as we replace those sections of guardrail and bridge ends throughout that whole corridor on Oregon 6. We also have the emergency project on Sand Lake Road slide that took place here last winter. We're working with Tillamook County, Federal Highways on behalf of those folks to get that under construction this summer, or actually this spring, and get that open for hopefully summer tourist traffic up there. We also have last one here on US 101, the Kearney Creek Bridge. As you recall, that's the bridge that's in Oswald West State Park. We had a couple of failures of the railing and the sidewalk there. Well, we're going to go through and do a full retrofit of the entire structure and make sure that those type of accidents that happen that cause that work, cause those damages to the structure are taken care of. We're putting together a design right now for starting in construction spring of this year of 25. I'll take any questions. Otherwise, that's my report for this month.
Thank you, Bill. Does anyone have any questions for Bill? Not hearing anyone else's, I do have a question for you, Bill.
Sure.
As we look at Highway 6, and I know it's been a topic of a lot of conversation, I know that your team and what you have access to is working very hard to make sure it stays open and as safe as possible. But is that, are we seeing more slippage than we've seen in the past? And is that moving up in the ODOT chain? And are there ways that we can help move it up in the ODOT chain to say, while you all are doing your best, this is a worsening situation that really needs to be added to a bigger list, because we're looking at whether or not we might lose that road. So is there ways we can help move this up the ODOT chain?
Yeah, Commissioner Scar, that's a great point, and a great question. Historically, this area on Oregon 6 has been a slide area. We've recognized it. It's the blessed geography that we live in that causes those locations to slide where we put the highway. For what we can do and the funds that we're available to, we can only Band-Aid things, which means we can try and smooth out the surface, trying to keep the guardrail in place and keep that, keep it passable in somewhat safe condition. Representative Weber at the time sponsored a House bill that we identified Oregon 6 with a number of priorities. We did submit that to the legislature for their consideration. The funding for those fixes are beyond what we get every 2 years here in our area and district. They just require more commitment from the legislature, from federal partners as well too, to look at some of those bigger solutions. We hope to keep it open and keep it passable. That's the point that we can do, but certainly elevating it above my level, more to the state legislative level, is certainly the key to probably getting some traction for those larger projects.
Okay, thank you. So that's a great information for us as we're going into the long session, is to make sure that not only our senator and representative, which we know they know, but to keep that in that conversation at the state level, because we do expect there will be a fairly significant conversation around transportation at the state level. So for those of you listening, thinking about if you would like to, keep your eyes out there for the opportunity to testify at the state level as those bills come on board and the funding for ODOT is discussed. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Scar,
yes,
Scar, can I just interject?
Yes,
I have
please.
I have been appointed to the Joint Transportation Committee, and we will begin work on the 16th as for the final report of what happened in the last session, and we'll begin going ahead. And so I think that my ability to be on that committee, as much as I whined and begged and pleaded, I think gives us a better chance to keep this on the forefront of ODOT's plan of action for the future.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We really appreciate your hard work to get on that committee. Don't hesitate to let us know how we help. Where should we be talking about it? Because certainly our community is talking about it.
I certainly will keep you in the loop. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, with that, we will move on to the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Bell, would you like to kick us off today?
You bet. Excuse me. Thank you. Well, I was at the TVCC board meeting last night, so it was exciting when I pulled into the parking lot to see piles and piles of lumber. So the walls will start to go up this week, perhaps, and we learned from the person on staff, the facilities director, that the walls should be up within 2 months. So that's very fast and very exciting. And of course, they were grateful for the dry weather right this minute and hope that that holds out. So that project is moving along. For folks who may not know, that's the building that's going up adjacent the current TVCC Tillamook Bay Community College main campus, and it is the new healthcare education building. So that's thrilling. I wanted to mention that we are continuing conversations about the potential of going to voters to ask voters to raise the transient lodging tax. So perhaps everyone who's listening already knows this, but just in case, transient lodging tax, or TLT tax, is tax that is collected from visitors only. It's not part of our property taxes. Locals don't pay it unless we happen to be renting a room or a campsite in Tillamook County. So it's tax that's paid by visitors only when they spend the night here. And we're talking about going to the voters in May and asking the voters to approve raising the TLT tax from 10% to 15%. And we've been talking about all of the benefits of that, and they're myriad. They're extensive benefits of that. The 70% of that revenue we could use to invest in tourism facilities, which means reinvesting in our own community. And 30% of it we can use at our discretion. And so we're talking about directing that money into the sheriff's office budget in order to stabilize that funding. Because if people have been listening to us talk about this for a while, you know that with declining timber revenues, the county has been borrowing from our revenue stabilization fund, which in other words would be the rainy day fund they used to call it, or savings, in order to balance the budget. And previously, when we had more timber revenue, we'd have short years, we'd borrow from the revenue stabilization fund, then we'd have fat years again, and it all evened out. But what we understand now is that timber revenue is declining and will continue to decline, and then hopefully flatten out at some point. But that we can't reasonably expect any more fat years to replenish that account. So we need to bring in more revenue in order to stabilize our spending, just to ensure current service levels. So I've talked to the sheriff about this. He's concerned that the community understand that this wouldn't enable the sheriff's office to grow at this point. What we're trying to do is just stabilize our current service levels so that we won't have to continue to borrow from savings to balance the budget. So that's what we would do with 30%, and the 70%, we have all kinds of great ideas about things that we can invest in, facilities in Tillamook County that we can invest in with that money. So those, we'll have some public meetings about that later this month, and if the board votes to move the ordinance forward, then we'll have some public hearings about that, and we're interested in people's thoughts and their ideas, and want to, of course, keep the community notified. And so that's happening this month. And the other thing that's interesting on my calendar upcoming is that I am convening a meeting to talk about Holden Creek. Holden Creek goes through Tillamook. It goes through the city of Tillamook and unincorporated Tillamook County, and has been problematic for many years. It's not particularly clean. It floods in town, it floods outside of town. And so there have been previous groups that worked on Holden Creek, but not for some time. And so some folks came to our office and other places and said, hey, we need to work on Holden Creek. We need to get together and work on Holden Creek. So we're going to have that meeting next week. And I'm looking forward to starting that conversation again to figure out what's possible and who would like to be involved. So I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions for Commissioner Bell? Not hearing any. I know Commissioner Fournier shared a bit when we started. Commissioner, do you have anything else you'd like to share today?
No, except that I jumped the gun a little bit. I did attend an interesting meeting last night in NETARTS. And NETARTS is reviving their community action committee, which is pretty interesting, seeing that come from the ground up. So I'm excited to see where they're going to go with that. And I think they are looking for people who are interested in the NETARTS area in joining that group. Our own Sarah Absher was there helping them set it up. So I'm excited. Of course, I live in NETARTS, so I'm excited and greatly supportive of that group. Anytime we can get those community action committees going, they are so helpful for giving information to the board and giving us direction on how they want to self-determine what happens in their community. So I was happy to be a part of that. But that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, the CACs that we have in our unincorporated communities are really important, with Tillamook County having as many unincorporated communities, which I don't know that everybody realizes that communities such as NETARTS, Oceanside, Pacific City, Cloverdale, Hebo, Beaver, all of those areas are non-incorporated cities, so they fall under the jurisdiction of the county. And within each of those communities, there's a different community plan for housing development, et cetera. And the CACs are really crucial in providing information that's on the ground, that's local, that helps the commissioners make decisions for those communities in the absence of local government. So thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner. It's a really important part of our governance structure, if you will, throughout the county. So appreciate that.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm going to keep mine brief. Just another reminder for everyone that the Housing Commission grant fund closed on December 31st and that we will have presentations during the day on the 14th. It's going to start at 9 a.m. You can get information regarding that from the Community Development website. I believe it's going to be at the college this year, but that's confirmed, will be confirmed on the website prior to the 14th. You can also watch those remotely, but this is a great opportunity if you're curious about who's interested in building housing in Tillamook County, what's the scale, what kind of money do they need to make it happen. This is just an amazing opportunity to get a peek into the developers and development interest in Tillamook County. So I know that we talk often about how somebody, you can't see my air quotes here, but somebody should build more housing. And we're working hard to try to encourage that with developers, since the county ourselves is not a developer and doesn't build housing. But these incentive funds are one of the ways that we try to help that happen. And so again, it's just a great peek into who's developing housing. One of the projects that we funded in the past that has come online in the last week, actually, is the housing over the top of the, I guess, the Oregon Coast Dance Center downtown. So some of you, if you're on Facebook, may have seen in the Tillamook County for Rent and other community pages for Tillamook County, the posting about those apartments being for rent. So it's very exciting that some of the much sought after middle housing, it's not low income specifically, it's really intended for workforce. So that's just an exciting piece that came online just in this last week. So congratulations to Lisa Greiner for all of her work in making that happen. That was no small task. Anyway, so that's the big thing I wanted to share. And then I will just share, I'm looking forward to the honor of attending the Governor's State of the State on Monday. I will be in Salem already for Association of Oregon Counties Business. And as the chair of our commission, was invited to attend in person the State of the State. So look forward to doing that and representing Tillamook County. With that, I'm going to move us on to the cities. Do we have anyone today from the city of Manzanita? Didn't see a corresponding phone number, but I'm going to give you a minute in case it's a different number today. Okay, not hearing anyone. How about Nehalem? Wheeler? I know that we do not have Rockaway Beach. Mayor McNeely let me know he was unavailable today. How about Garibaldi? Not seeing anyone for Garibaldi. Bay City, I know that I did see both the city manager and the mayor on with us today. Who would like to give us an update on Bay City?
Good morning, Commissioner Scar. This is Mayor Welch. How are you today?
Good morning, Mayor. I'm well, thank you.
So a few things. So you're right. It is a lovely day out, lovely day yesterday, but with all those heavy rains, I want to thank the Public Works staff for managing our wastewater treatment plant. When we get that much rain, it just adds more work for the staff is managing that. So I want to give a shout out to our Public Works staff. So currently, the Transient Lodging Tax Committee is reviewing our application process. So we're trying to make the application process easier for applicants and also for the city to administer. So that process is just initiating as we're revamping our TLT program. At our January 14th meeting at 6 p.m., the City Council, we're now looking at our water rates. So this is starting to look at what we charge for water, what others charge around us, and seeing if we can help get our water department's budget in balance. So that'll be a start. And so we're interested in comments from citizens on what some of the ideas that we are doing. And I do want to reach out to you, Commissioner Scar, to meet about the Community Action Team in Bay City. There's a really great program. It's kind of been in hiatus for a while. So city manager and I are reaching out to you and see if you've got time to meet with us and figure if we can push that program forward. And the last thing, we talked about Highway 6. We talked about the transportation package going forward in this long session. I was just voted in as the vice chair of the Northwest Area Commission on Transportation. This commission represents Washington, or Western Washington, Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook County. So we talked about highway safety, is that I will be working with this group and working with our legislators to move forward with transportation package, and also keeping an eye on Highway 6. It's incredibly important that the highway for a variety of reasons. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Okay. How about the city of Tillamook? I know that the senator let us know we have a new city manager interim there. I don't know if anyone shared with him about this call. Not hearing anyone. We'll make sure that we do in this next week, reach out, make sure that he is aware this call is available. With that, I would like to thank KTIL for broadcasting. I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and we will adjourn this morning at 8:54 a.m. Everyone have a beautiful day.